video is intended to show you how one narrative can change the entire story for generations. Hey guys, J2Rex again. Everyone born prior to the 90s in Nigeria or in the 90s must have seen the movie Bakassi Boys. We loved it, it was a massive hit. But what if I tell you that the story of the main character was very tragic? This is the story of the prophet Eddy Nogu. Edward Onyebuchi Okeke was born in Anambra State in the year 1957. However, he was popularly known as Eddy Nogu. Edwin Okeke, Alosine Joka, Okalamadu, Okalamo. So at the age of 29, Nogu formed the organization named the Anyoma Healing Organization, headquartered at his compound in Nogu, Anambra State. Throughout the mid-90s, Eddy Nogu became a notable religious leader in Onitsha, Anambra State. Eddy Nogu was known for his philanthropic activities. He had children in school. He paid for the WAEC registration of over 200 students. He even built a community center, boreholes and water for people living in Onitsha in the early 2000s and the 1990s. However, he was a Nigerian alleged sorcerer, occultist, and described by the Nigerian media as a false prophet. He initially proclaimed himself to be a prophet of the biblical Abrahamic God. In the years 1999 and 2000, Nogu became a person of interest in numerous crimes committed not only in the community but across Anambra State as a whole. This began to attract the attention of the then Bakassi Boys. Bakassi Boys was a vigilante group spearheaded by the then governor of Anambra State, Chinwoke Mbadinuju. Eddy Nogu had been accused of kidnapping, aiding famous criminals, partaking in rituals involving the use of human body parts, illegal possession of firearms, and human sacrifice. Now let this be known that these were all allegations. There's been no concrete evidence whatsoever that clearly shows on record that Eddy Nogu was proven of these allegations. Let's talk about his murder. According to the Nigerian media, Bakassi Boys failed 13 times to capture Nogu, and this was explained by the myth that he could defy the rules of conventional physics and had the ability to teleport. It took the effort of the leader of the vigilante group named Ungworo to allegedly strip Nogu of his ability to teleport, leading to his capture. Relying on an intel based solely on an allegation, Eddy Nogu was kidnapped in the dead of the night while his 2 children and wife were all in the house sleeping. He was apprehended, taken to the base for 3 days, tortured in the name of questioning, and was then later released to the Nigerian police. Of course, the Nigerian police could not find him guilty of anything, and he was then released. Then the Bakassi Boys took him again, to the opposition of the Bakassi Boys, who argued that the police were corrupt and could easily be influenced. High-profile government workers and officials allegedly interceded for the release of Eddy Nogu, as reported by the head of the vigilante group, Mr. Ungworo. However, the names of the political figures and government officials interceding for his release were never published because it is believed that whoever associates with Eddy Nogu is obviously an occultic member. He was eventually beheaded and cut into pieces by the Bakassi Boys in the streets of Onitsha, after which all parts were gathered together and set ablaze at the Ochanja market in Anambra State. Now this is where I have a problem with this story. The Bakassi Boys were spearheaded by a political figure, a governor. The Bakassi Boys, self-righteous individuals who had the powers to say one was guilty. By the laws of Nigeria, the construction of the Bakassi Boys in itself is illegal. Obviously, being a popular human, the governor knows about Eddy Nogu. When the governor was notified of Eddy's capture, the governor on record said Eddy Nogu did not pay tribute when he became governor For that sakes, there isn't very much that he can do. You accuse a man like Eddy Nogu for sorcery and witchcraft and whatever, wizardry, to become a political figure in Nigeria, especially in the East. It is believed, it is assumed, it is a general assumption that you also must be involved in some of occultic meetings. So, how does an occultic man accuse another occultic man for the same crimes? When they captured Nogu, he was not taken to trial. There were no concrete evidence leading to him. There were no concrete evidence pointing towards Nogu's involvement in sorcery, the kidnappings, or the killings or performance of rituals involving human parts. However, his convictions were solely based on the words of the organization created by a political figure. As at the time of Eddy Nogu's death, Nigeria had a president. The state government, the state of Anambra, had a governor. They had the police, the army, the navy, and all whatnot. Yet, a bunch of vigilante men grabs a man, beheads him in the presence in the market square. We have children at the market. We have young people below 18 years old, and no one, not a single person was prosecuted. The primary point of this video is, for whatever reason, who gives a vigilante the right to go over a federal government? Help me make this make sense. Shortly after the death of Eddy Nogu, notable Nigerians who have had direct contacts with the Prophet came out to debunk the rumors being spread by the Bakassi boys and the then governor of Anambra State. And so shortly afterwards, a movie was produced, Isakaba, the Bakassi boys. This movie was produced by Lancelot Imasuan, and the lead cast was our very own Sam Dede. I do not know if Lancelot Imasuan knew about the story of the Prophet, or he was just directing a movie. However, the Isakaba movie would change everybody's perspective into believing that Eddy Nogu was a false prophet whose death was justified. This man was murdered in cold blood in the most inhuman way. No court, no trial, nothing. The Isakaba movie would turn out to be a $1 million franchise, and the likes of Lancelot Imasuan would then amass massive wealth and recognition of the tragedy of another man and his family. So I have a question. Did any of the producers, did any of the actors, did they say for 1 second to find out if this man did do this or not? Sam Dede played the role of Ngoro, the leader of the vigilante group. And these people read the script. They knew that a man was murdered in cold blood. Most Nigerians, especially those born in the 90s, having seen the Isakaba movie, grew up believing that Eddy Nogu's death was justified and he was a kidnapper and murderer. A man's legacy just gone like that. This man's life was cut short at 47 years old, having done great things for his community. The roads that he built are still there in Anambra State 20 years after. Dear Lancelot Imasuan, I am of the assumptions that the primary reason of making legacy movies is to ensure that the depictions had factual backings. The Isakaba movie did not have any of that. For 25 years, I do not know if Lancelot Imasuan has called this man's wife even for once. You used this man's name for a movie. You used his death for that movie. That movie was centered around him. Have you called the wife? Do you say the father was guilty? Are the children also guilty? Should the children pay for the sins of their father? Should the wife pay for the sins of her husband? Now you can debate if he was a false prophet or not. However, for the allegations that warrants death by beheading and cutting his body parts into pieces, There has been no concrete evidence that depicts to show that yes, this man was what you said he is. So I am begging you, please reach out to the family and do right. And every crew member or production member that was involved in the making of the Bakassi movie, you have to do right. He was not given a fair chance to defend himself. So please, if you enjoyed this video, just like, comment, and share. Boom.